time has come.
Hello, I'm Donna Skell.
And I'm Tiffany Ross.
Welcome to Roaring Lambs. Roaring Lambs is dedicated to bring you stories of amazing faith, stories where you can see God at work in people's lives. So imagine this, you're sitting in your home, you hear noises outside, you open your front door, and your home is surrounded by a SWAT team. Stay tuned and hear this gripping story.
This episode of Roaring Lambs is brought to you by LifeStoriesCompany.com.
Bobbie Manivanh is the eldest of 5 children, born in the United States, of parents of Laos descent. Growing up, she excelled and achieved her college education at the Art Institute of Dallas. She is currently a creative director-producer at Sevenfold Marketing. But she has an amazing story, and you'll be excited to hear how God was at work. So, Bobbie, let's start at the beginning and tell us a little bit about your upbringing, your childhood.
My upbringing. Okay, so I feel like I thought it was normal, but coming to find out even at a young age that it was not normal, because I realized that I was living in 2 worlds. Like obviously my parents were immigrants from Laos, and I was born and raised here in the States, so I was going to an American school. So I'm eating, living, breathing a whole Laotian culture, but I go to school and speak to American friends and teachers in English. But at home, I would speak a whole nother language. I would speak Laotian. So, it always kind of like, okay, I get, like it just, of course, I'm young and I'm the oldest out of 5, as you said. So it never really, and I never questioned it or anything. But I did realize that my parents were a little different, because they would always work and they would never really attend like a lot of the, my school games or dances. Like I wouldn't, they wouldn't allow me to go to dances or anything. It was all just about education. Thankfully I excelled, because I really just put my face down in books and just schoolwork.
Yeah. So, Bobbie, you mentioned these 2 worlds really that you're living in. You're toggling between the 2, and your parents, obviously wanted to drive home the point that education matters and education. But it must have been difficult to be at these events. You excelled in your studies, and the Western way is, the parents are there and supportive, and grandparents and all. And you said that your parents really weren't part of that,
right.
Really.
They weren't, because they didn't understand, and then plus they didn't speak the language English very well, so they didn't, I felt a little different already from that. But as I was seeing a lot of the other parents, at the kids' games and stuff like that, or just at the school, bringing them lunch or PTA meetings or the award ceremonies, it's okay. We gotten so used to that we're like, okay. But I just thought that, okay, maybe your parents love them more than we were loved, or that's kind of my thought. Like, I guess they don't love us, but I kind of just, swept it under the rug and just thought they're just too busy and they just don't understand, and they just, pick us up and just drop us off. They're just so busy working for 5 kids that it's just tiresome. So I'm like, okay. I just kept it at that, just, I guess.
But the language and the food and the cultural differences were great, but there was also a spiritual difference, wasn't there?
Oh, right, yes.
Growing up in a Christian country and going to school with a lot of Christian boys and girls. What was the spiritual upbringing in your home?
Definitely different. It was Buddhism. So my family, they would go to the temple a lot, to the Buddhist temple, and it would be very similar to going to church on a Sunday. From what I remember, as American people would go to church on Sundays, we would go to the temple on Sundays. But I was always like wondering, like, what? Because I had no idea like what they're saying, all this chanting and stuff that they're doing, and we had to wear like the traditional attire when we're at the temple. So I was just like, just bored.
Yeah.
And then we always have to sit on the ground, and I'm just like really just bored, and we're just doing a little chanting, and I'm just like, do they even know? I just wonder. Like, and I'm thinking in my head, I think maybe a young teenager at this point, I'm like, do they even understand what he's saying, or why do like it just crossed my mind. And then one day I asked my aunt, my mom's younger sister, I was like, do y'all know why y'all do this? Like, I don't know why I remember this distinctively. I really don't, because it was so long ago, and it seems like a random, just a curious kid question. And she's like, well, we're doing it because your grandmother did it. This is what she did. I'm like, okay, and what are they saying? Now, and they're just like, it's good stuff. Just go give them the food. Just like she couldn't really answer. So, I mean, again, like even at that point, I was just like, swept it under the rug too. I was just curious, like, why do y'all do this?
Right.
And then that's when. Even I think during that time as well, there was a church down the street. I don't know how they found our neighborhood, because it's really like hidden. It's really hidden. You have to go like up a hill and all this. So they ended up finding us somehow and asked our parents if we can go to church, and they're like, yeah, just because there were so many of us. Because at our neighborhood, it was our family, which is 5 kids. Next door was my uncle and my cousins, and down the street, and across the street there's all of us. So it was literally a village, and that's how we grew up. So they're like, yeah, go ahead and take them, because we were out of our parents' hair.
It's free childcare.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay, y'all go. So instead of running around the house, eating up all the food, they were like, yeah, just go. And we were like, okay, fine, that's cool. They have candy, So we went to church for a while, and even when that church shut down, we went to another church, because like all of us had something to do. Even the other kids around the neighborhood, we all went together. It was just just something to do. But within that time, obviously that's where my seed got planted about Jesus, all the little kid songs that we would hear. I'm like, we would sing along too. So obviously, yes, that's how it got in my heart, in my spirit, and everything. But out of all of us, like, it was just me that stuck with God.
Wow.
And I never put it like that, but yeah, like out of all of us.
Right. So that's really fascinating, Bobbie, because again, these two worlds, and going to the Buddhist temple and then church. But how wonderful that seed was planted in your heart. But you say that growing up and excelling, and I'll be studious and I'll excel in my studies, there was still that love that you were really yearning for. You were saying that, even though you kind of had heard about Jesus, and yes, Jesus loves me, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It hadn't really sunk in yet to
Right.
who you really were at the core, and so you were looking for love. So you met someone that you thought might fulfill that.
Oh, you know what? Can I add to that?
Yes,
Because I actually was thinking about this last night. Because of that love, I was telling you how I saw other parents, just being there for their child at, this, and then I was thinking. I think that kind of like growing up with my whatever my parents considered love was just being there for us, or giving us things, because we're your parents. That's it. That's all we do. I've never gotten like a physical like hug or touch of like I love you, or saying I love you. So I think like in a way I know for sure I didn't really know what love was, but what I dreamed in my head was just what I saw on TV, or what I saw in the mall, at the restaurants, or anything like that, because I just thought that it was always perfect and beautiful, because that's how it is on the movies, of Cinderella, they just met and got married. That's what I thought love was. So I'm like, that's how I took it. So, yes, and then when I finally got the chance to get out in the world, because I never dated in school at all. I just felt like, school, and then I was like, no, these boys are losers. Okay. But when I finally got out of school, I was like, okay, the first guy that I ended up dating, I'm just like, this is it. This is my husband. He's the one. because he, just like what my parents did, just like took care of me, just bought me things and everything. And I'm like, oh, this is love, because I was so accustomed to that form of love from my parents, because it was obviously instilled in me unknowingly. And once he did it to me, because he was older, so he was doing that to me, taking care of me, buying me things and stuff, and I just equated that to love. And so I just let it be, regardless of how happy or sad or lonely or full of, social life I had, or lack of friends or a lot of friends. Like the fact that I never really tried to figure out if that was love or not. I just dealt with it. I settled with it, because I felt like the fact that he was taking care of me in that kind of way meant that it was like true love, or the perfect love.
You didn't have an idea of what love really was.
Right.
You went from your parents who loved you by buying you things and just taking care of your needs, and you get out in the world, you meet someone, he's beginning to show you affection and take care of you, and you just assume that this was the next stage in your life.
Right.
So you married him, right?
Right.
You married him, and things were good in the beginning, but after a while you had some sneaky suspicions that things weren't on the up and up with his business dealings, right?
Yes, because even though we had a very nice home and everything, it's just that the amount of people coming in and out, and he always just, would tell me it was, the music artist, because he had his own record label and stuff, and we were all young, so it's just always lively.
Yeah.
And because he was taking care of me, I just never wanted that lifestyle to go away. So I really, even though I had questions and concerns in my heart, in my soul, in my spirit, I just never asked, because I didn't want that lifestyle to go away, because I was living a very fast lifestyle, and I was young, and I loved it, because it was just designer everything and all the nice cars. All my friends were beautiful. All his friends were, successful, rich, and it was fun. It was just like living in the whole celebrity world without the celebrity TV yet, the reality TV. And I really enjoyed that, and I didn't want to lose it, so I just stayed, regardless if I was happy in love or not. I didn't want it to go.
But one day something happened that I alluded to in the beginning of the show. Remember that day when you heard noises outside and you opened your door and found a SWAT team?
Yes, I remember this night very distinctively, because we were both going out that evening, but he was going to go out with his guy friends, and I was going to go out with my girlfriends, and we were getting dressed, and I remember just hearing a knock, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go get it. I run downstairs, and I'm detective so-and-so, and I have a warrant to search the house. And I'm like, I'm like confused. I'm not even shocked or anything yet, but I'm just confused, because it's not like they hit the door, smashed it open or anything. He just knocked first, and because I guess I opened it calmly, he just walked in, and after he said all that, and then that's when I saw the whole SWAT team, all the letters, DA, ATF, all that, all on the roof, in the backyard, helicopters, like police surrounding the whole block. And we were in a very prominent area in a very nice area of town too. And I'm like, okay, quite embarrassing, quite embarrassing. And I'm just like, okay, well, that reassured what I was, questioning in my gut, because I was just like, no, he can't just be doing more than just making music. There's got to be something more, because there's way too much money going in and out. Because even at that point, he was even paying for my business school out of pocket and all the nice things that I want, and I'm just like, okay. So, yeah, so after that happened, I knew for sure that, it wasn't straight. Everything wasn't straight.
So what happened with your husband that night? They came in, they start raiding the house.
They did.
Going through everything, and I imagine they emptied drawers and just turned everything upside down.
Literally the whole house upside down.
Did you have any idea what they were looking for?
Drugs.
Drugs.
Drugs. They were looking for drugs, because they had been watching him for a while, and people would say his name because they would like, arrest people and they would say his name and stuff like that. So they were coming for him, ended up arresting him and leaving me behind, thankfully. And I was just like, now at that point I was shocked because I was like, I don't know what to do because I've been so dependent on him. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna make money, or I don't, you know, like I'm in school, I'm a student.
Can't even imagine.
Yeah,
so they carted him off to jail,
right.
left you behind.
Yes.
Did they explain to you? Did they tell you what they found?
Oh no, they I had to like stay like in the living room while they like searched everything, and whatever they found they marked and you know kept evidence of, took pictures of, whatever they wanted. So I had to stay until they finished, but nothing happened to me yet. But they took him. After some time, they wanted me to come in for questioning and stuff because they were trying to just get more information, but I never went. And I think they got kind of mad because I was like, I don't know, I was just scared. I was like, I don't know. I've never been in trouble before.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I told people like this, the worst I've ever gotten in trouble at that point was a speeding ticket. And I even cried about that. Like, no, I didn't go over the speed limit, you know.
So the first week or two that he was gone, what were you doing? What were you thinking? Or how did you feel?
I don't know because like obviously my family didn't know because I was keeping that away. I was keeping that away from them. They just really loved all the gifts and stuff and the money I was giving them, so they didn't question. But I couldn't go back and you know tell them like, well, this happened and can I stay here again? You know, like you know, of course they're just gonna be pointing fingers. Says, well, that's what you get because you know you thought you were just living the high life. You know that whole backlash kind of like lecturing kind of parent thing. But after some time though, when they ended up indicting me just because I was married to him, they just assumed I knew everything that was going on, even though I didn't. And ended up going to court. And when I went to court, they, whatever he did or said, all the evidence was pointing to me.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, what are you talking about? It was because, you know, like my credit cards and stuff like that. And mind you, he's older, so he kind of already knew what he had, or he knew what he was doing because he had a criminal past before, which I didn't know. And he, I guess, set it up to where everything was like under my name. And so
he had an innocent young wife who didn't know, from another culture,
right.
Probably wasn't aware of all that was going on, and like you said, what a setup.
Yeah, and that's...
So you were indicted, and what did that mean? Did that mean you went to
Yes, I had
jail?
to go, I went to court, went to jury, had a jury trial, ended up getting found guilty. That's where, like, like my soul like came out of my body, like left me. I don't know. I was just, that was the most shock. I've never been in shock before, and I never knew how shock felt, but I knew that was shock.
Yeah.
And did your lawyer at that point, he or she or they, were letting you know or giving you the impression that, oh, you'll be fine, it'll be fine? So even more shock with that, the guilty verdict?
I mean, they were calm. Well, he was calm that day, but he was calm about it. But he did kind of give me a little concern because the charges in Collin County and the lawyer was from a Dallas County, and I didn't know any difference. I just got a lawyer that somebody referred me to, which is a high-profile lawyer, and because he's a hot shot in Dallas doesn't mean he's a hot shot in another county.
Sure.
So going to another county, they're kind of like, whatever, you're nobody. And I think that kind of crushed him a little bit. So he was like, well, I don't know how much I can help, but like he never really gave me a straight answer. He was just kind of there. But when they did get found guilty, he was, I mean there was no, I remember now, like he didn't really react too much, just kind of like, okay, well, I'll let your family know, let me have your phone and stuff like that. I'll give it to my, your family. And I just remember being taken behind, the bench, and now in like the cement wall, or not the cement, what is that thing called? Center,
cell.
yeah, a little cell. I was like, what is this? And the whole time I'm still in shock, like, this is a game. This is not real. My mom's gonna pick me up and here in a little bit. You know, like I'm thinking, I can't cry. Like I can't cry. I can't feel nothing. And I'm just like, what is this? Like, yeah. And I don't even know how long I was there.
You were in total disbelief.
Yes.
Right. Or was, because I've never been in that situation at all.
When did it hit? And you were realizing, I'm in here, it was 7 years was the sentence?
Yes, I got sentenced for 7 years in prison.
So what were those days and weeks like when it was really sinking in?
Well, okay, so I laugh about it now because, as you can see, it's still, because I have such vivid memories now, like, because I know, obviously I'm better now, but like thinking back, I'm just like, whoa, it was pretty scary, because the first time ever just going to jail, you're just thinking you're gonna see all these like murderers and all this killers. Like I'm like, I just got blamed on, you know, like I just
like
I'm
nobody
just like,
would believe
I'm
you
really
either.
innocent. Like I'm just really innocent. Like I didn't kill nobody, you know. So, but I go, and then, well, the process is that you actually go to county jail first, and county jail is just a lot of you know, like toxic. Is it public intoxication, like just little minor like traffic stuff, or people like breaking their probation. It's just little small little things like that. I didn't know, of course, until I got there, but I just assumed, because I didn't know any better, like everybody was just a bad person, like they were just out to get me. So I just stayed in my little bunk bed, and I was just crying. I swear, I was just crying for like a whole month, because I didn't know what to do. And then after I pulled myself together, this one of my little roommates, she was like, let's go out there, you know, because it's like, let's go out, you know, and talk to people. You know, like our little, I guess, I forgot what it's called, but it's basically just a room where the whole table and everybody can just sit and, you know, socialize. So we go sit, and then she was like, Bobbie, are you saved? I'm like, what do you mean? Saved. She goes, no, you're not. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm not. So she starts saying the salvation prayer to me, and like I didn't know then, but like I felt the Holy Spirit. Like I felt it. I was like, what is that? I'm so sad. Like, you know. She goes, oh, it's okay. I'm gonna cry about it now. And then she goes, oh, you're safe now. You know, she said it so like cute, because she knows Jesus already and everything, but I didn't. So I was just like, okay, you know. And like God would just really showed up and showed out while I was in there, because you know, I ended up getting a Bible, and like I just wanted to read and read. Like I was just consuming it all in. Like, this is fun, you know. Like even though I'm, you know, in jail, like I'm still I didn't, again, like I'm a newbie, so I'm just like, this is fun. And then God, he always showed up, or not God, that was not God, but like my the way he communicated with me was through dreaming. So every single night I would dream something so more vivid than what I see in y'all. Like it was just so vivid. I'd wake up either from a nap or from, you know, really a long night's sleep, wake up, you know, like jot down everything that I saw in my dream. And on top of that, I journaled, because I'm also a nerd, you know, being creative, but I needed to keep my mind stimulated.
Yes.
So I always just kept busy, like somehow, like just my brain working, just reading or writing or something, because I didn't want to be like, blah, you know, idle for no, you know, just for nothing, because I did it for that time, or you know, allowed all my sadness to come out that one time, that my pity party. I gave myself that pity party, and I was like, that's it. And that's when, after all that happened, I was like, okay, I'm getting out of here. I've been there for months already. And usually when you're in when you're in the community, what is that? The jail, just the normal city jail, that you have to wait until the prison people, the prison like marshal, I think that's what it's called, to come and get you to go to prison. But and so that's what I was really sitting there waiting for, to leave out of the city jail. And in the meantime, I got to go to the law library, and I was like, I'm just getting out of here. I don't know how to do this, but I'm getting out of here. Because I kept seeing it in my dream. And
Yeah.
I was like, I'm doing this. So I just found something, and a lot of the girls, they've been there in and out. So they're like, yeah, just do this little thing, this file a appeal bond or something. I was like, okay, you know, so I'm just looking it up, reading about it. I filed it. It got approved. I mean, the bond got approved, so that meant like my family could bond me out, even though I've already been sentenced. I was able to bond out for an appeal process. So I ended up getting bonded out after 5 months, even though I was, again, already sentenced.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I knew it. See, then that's what made me even believe in God even more, because he allowed me to see it in my
Yes.
dreams.
Yes.
So I kept believing it and had that hope, and then just that faith. I just kept on working on it. I'm leaving. Well, in my head, I couldn't. You can't tell nobody.
So I
You
have to
can't
ask
never-
a question here. So when the gal in jail kind of asked you if you were saved, tell me her name again.
Erica.
Erica.
Yeah.
So she kind of prayed the prayer for you. So it wasn't really a personal commitment from you to God. It was her praying for you. But during this time, you're having these dreams, you're studying God's Word, and along that way, you made a personal commitment to the Lord, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I did, and he just kept like allowing me to see and believe it for myself.
And teach you.
Yeah.
Teach you
Right.
through His Word.
Yes.
Right.
And
Exactly.
kind of direct your steps as He kind of led you to learn about the law, about the appeal, and then to do the appeal.
Right.
So that's really
So
great. So the Lord was really working in your life
yes,
at that
and
point.
like obvious now, the more I know about God, like I see that His hand was always
Yes.
in my life. But of course, I didn't know because I was still a newbie. So, but I'm just like, thank you. I even had, you know, I'm really an entrepreneur at heart, and because my family didn't know how to put money in my books, I had to do a little business. So I would like thread the girls' eyebrows in the bathroom.
Oh, wow.
And you know, they would pay me with bags of chips and stuff. And I tell people this all the time because I laugh, because now I know for sure I can survive anywhere. I can make it, you know, like I'm not afraid. Like the fear is gone. Like even though if you ever had to move or something, like I just know how to just hustle now.
Right.
I know how to.
So your parents came and bonded you out. And so when you were married to your husband, had you had children yet?
Yes. Oh, we did. We'd had one daughter.
So you had a daughter. So while you were imprisoned, your parents kind of
Right.
cared for your daughter.
Yes.
And now you're out.
So now we're out. My daughter is reunited with me, and I just knew that I had to change my whole life, my
Yes.
whole lifestyle, my past lifestyle, because I was like, no, that was just a fast life.
Right.
And I literally just quit, like everybody, like cut people off, and I was like cold turkey. And I just started working, just, you know, like I need to do something with my life, you know, kind of thing. Ended up going back to school, but this time I went for film and ended up enjoying that. And another reason I really feel like God was working in my life as well, because I ended up being an assistant to a TV producer. I had no intentions of this whole, you know, production life or, you know, anything like that. And then one day he asked me to edit something. I'm like, what? I'm just an assistant, you know, like I'm not trying to do more work, you know? And so he's like, no, here's the manual. It's like this big. Cause he printed out like, I swear, 1,000-page manual, and it was like this high. And I was like, okay, I'm up for challenges. So I actually tried it and actually edited like a little something, and I actually saw it. I was like, oh, this is neat. So that kind of really sparked
Can I just say,
yes.
I see God's hand all the way through, because your parents, and it might have felt harsh in some ways when you were a kid, study, 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 you know, educate yourself. You had been brought up in that way, and even in prison to, you know, research
Yes.
the law and to, you know, petition. And now with this movie producer saying, read this, you know. And so I love the fact that God prepared you every step of the way in your studies to even have that mindset to not be intimidated by that, but I'll just go for it, you know.
Right.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
So, well, you know, thank you for, you know, sharing that insight, because I didn't even see it like that. But yeah, I love that. So once I saw my little edit, I was like, okay, this is neat. So I kind of kept going a little bit, and then like not too long after that, it had to be like some days or maybe just a week, I saw a commercial for the Art Institute. And I was like, oh, going there. Went there, did all the tour, did all paperwork, and like went like that the next semester, which is only like a week or so after that. And then that's where I met the people who I still work with today. And yeah, that really, again, that really helped, like, just, I don't even know how to say this because it's like, very exciting, but it became so natural for me to be in this field, because I'm more of a producer. I really like, the structure and the organization stuff, but like everything just came so effortless. And I'm like, I guess this is,
That's
for
when
me.
you know you're well placed.
Right. Yeah. And then, so now at this point, I felt like I'm in a good place. I have now just friends who I also work with, because that's how my mindset is now. I just don't want to have random friends and just party, because I don't want to party anymore. Like, that's not me anymore. That feeling, that urge is gone. Like, I just took that away. Like, I didn't just want to party. I wanted to do something with myself, not just for God, but like something with my life. Like, I need to brand myself.
Yes.
I have a child, so so at that point, like I said, I really felt like my life was on a good path now, and then ended up meeting another man, and I was like, okay, he seems like a normal guy. He doesn't, sell drugs, Yeah, he's like, he works in corporate. So I'm just like, okay, maybe I need something normal. So as we started dating, and mind you, this whole time I've been out for like 3.5 years, and I got to get through school and everything, started really making something for myself, because just doing a lot of work, in town, and people really knowing your work. And so it's been 3.5 years, and then I get notice of my appeal. So my appeal gets denied.
The appeal is 3.5 years later?
Yeah, I don't even know. Maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't even know if that's normal, or,
Yeah.
but it took that long for them to look over my appeal.
Wow.
I don't, so.
Yeah.
And it got denied.
Yes, it got
Which
denied.
meant what?
That I had to finish out my sentence.
Oh my goodness.
So you had to go back
I
in.
had to go back, and
For how many years?
I was sentenced to 7 years, and only did 5 months from that time. So I'm just thinking, okay, but at this point, my heart was already just becoming at peace. Like I felt that that just the spirit in me. And then when I got that notice, I was just like, I'm over it. Like I was so over the dark cloud hanging over me, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go. I'm done. I need to get this done with, because they keep trying to just suck my life with this thing, and I just want to get over with. So the hardest part was turning myself in, but it's not like I resisted. But it's like, okay, I gotta go, because now instead of being just stripped away, taken away, that shock, like you have to plan. You're leaving, so who's gonna watch the baby? She wasn't even in school yet, so she's gonna probably start school without me. And I'm thinking.
So you married this second man?
No, I didn't. We were only dating, and I had to tell him too. And so I'm like, ooh, and like my coworkers, like, y'all, I can't, I have to go. I don't know.
Did any of them know about your past?
Yes,
they did.
The close people. I shared with.
Yeah.
And but I never really brought it up until it was time, because again, like, it had been so long. I'm like, oh, maybe they forgot. It's 3.5 years.
So you turned yourself in, and you went back to prison.
Right. It was back to I had to go back to
Jail.
that jail first, and then this time they really did come get me. The prison did come get me. Oh, wait. I forgot. While I was had to turn myself in, with we had to get booked and everything. I started feeling something, like when I was getting booked in. After I turned myself in, I was just like, ooh, there's a weird feeling in my belly, and I was like, oh my God, I was freaking out, because I'm like, I think I'm pregnant, because I felt like this pulling sensation, which I don't ever get. I'm very aware of my body, but I'm like, oh, this is so weird. this is so weird. So like I just knew I was pregnant. I just knew it. So I already went ahead and told, you know, the lady, because you do a whole like medical diagnostics before you like go to, you know, just get yourself when you book in. Yeah. And I just went ahead and told her that I was pregnant, even though I didn't know for sure. But I just knew in my heart I was, because they treat you differently, treat you nicer. And I think it was kind of like a blessing in disguise too, because I could have, you know, depending on my status, they'll send me to certain prisons and stuff like that. So I told her already beforehand I was pregnant, so they would always kind of give me favor. And I knew this obviously from the time before, but and from the time before I knew what gave me peace. So now I'm already booked in, so I'm just like reading the Bible, nothing is bothering me. And I share this with everybody, but I hope, I don't want jail to be, you know, where you get this, but when I call it on my journey, like being locked up was the most peaceful time in life ever had. Like it's just like, for me, peace is like going to the beach and
because you could read your Bible, you could spend time with the Lord. You didn't have the responsibilities. Your mom was taking care of your daughter at that time. And
and I had the most
so
peace,
you and the Lord were alone
like all that time. And again, I kept learning, and I kept it was really, again, more feeling. I just got filled each day.
But this child is growing in your tummy.
Yes, and having a child grow in my tummy, and I'm just like, I mean, I was so into him. Like I was even fasting with being pregnant. And I'm like, whew, feeling lightheaded. Like I was like so into it, because I was like, I'm getting out. There's something great is gonna, you know, happen, because I can't just. My whole life right now has been a movie ever since I've been with him. You know, it's just like, But I'm like, you know, I'm keeping calm. Like I know for a fact that just being in the Word kept my sanity, and I didn't want to stress too, because I have a baby.
Right.
Yeah, I have a baby.
What happened?
So, being in prison, okay. Being in prison, which is the craziest thing, because on TV, it's everybody wears orange or black and white stripes, right? Everybody in prison wears white. And I thought that was the most beautiful thing, because you know how Jesus is friends with everybody.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I'm with your friends. You know, like I think of, you know, I say funny things in my head to God. Like I talk to him like he's a real friend. Like we've grown up together kind of thing. And I'm like, you know, I'll say things like that, and obviously everybody has their own language with him, but I'm just like, this is cool. I saw the beauty of it after, you know, like settled myself in. And even though it got so hot, because I was, you know, we were in Texas, so this, the prison I went to was like in central Texas. It was so hot. You know, like it would be, no AC, it would be like 112 outside, so it'd be 100 like 10,000 inside, and I'm just like, oh, and pregnant. When you're pregnant, you're more like your body heat. So I'm like, okay, God, you got this. Okay, like I just need to survive. You know, please, you know, I just need a healthy baby, because I didn't want to stress, because I didn't know how it would, you know, take on the baby. But I would just pray over the baby and stuff like that. So, and just kept going, like really, again. More journaling, more vivid dreams, and I still have my journal till today, both and I go through it periodically to see what else, you know, could have came to pass, and there'll be things, and it was
So Bobbie, in the few minutes that we have left, tell us about the baby and your release.
So let me see the baby. So
you had the baby.
Yes. Okay, because even though it got sentenced to 7 years, like I thought I was going to stay the whole 7 years, but you know, I didn't know any better. I don't go to prison all the time. And as they told me, like the other girls, they're like, no, you get a you get a meeting with the parole committee, so they look through your, you know, your whole background to see if you get to leave early. I'm like, what? I don't have to do the whole 7 years. Like, no, crazy girl, you don't. I'm like, oh, so now that gave me more hope, you know, like, okay, I could be leaving soon. So when my time came to meet with the parole board, you know, they look over, I had no prior history, and I've never got in a fight, you know, or anything like that, or in trouble. being locked up, and they look it over, they ask you questions, stuff like that. Months later, I get a notice from the parole board saying that I'm going to get released, and I'm going to get released during this month of February. And so I'm like, okay, they don't
And
ever
when is the baby due?
And the baby was due in January. And so I'm like, okay, this is interesting. So time passed, and of course you don't ever tell anybody that you're leaving, because you don't want anybody to, do things to you
Jeopardize.
to keep,
Right.
jeopardize your time there. And because I've seen pregnant women fight in there.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it's it's pretty intense. And so time passes, and I end up having the baby in January. And in jail, and it was the most interesting way to have a baby. Yeah, I was in my the hospital gown, and I was handcuffed to my ankles and my arm, my arm still. Yeah, when I was I had to get induced because of something, but the guard picked me up, got me in the van, of course again handcuffed, takes me out the van, puts me in a wheelchair, and wheels me down this long tunnel to my room. But mind you, it's a hospital. It's not just a prison hospital. Well, it is, but it's also a real life hospital like y'all would go to. But y'all just don't see the prisoners go in because it's like a dungeon that we have to get to. And then even though I passed through a real lobby, my jacket that I had covered my handcuffs, so you wouldn't know if I was an inmate or not, and I was in a hospital gown. But so they get wheeled into my room, and then they still handcuffed me to my bed.
And you had your son.
Yeah. And I had my son, and I remember having my son, and nobody could be there. So it was just the doctor in front of me, and the guard to my right, and Jesus to the left. He was there. And so I saw him, and I felt him. I was like, having the baby, healthy baby boy.
Good.
And I was allowed to see him for 45 minutes, and they gave me a picture of him, and the father picked him up, thankfully, because if you don't have family picking up the baby is going to go in foster care.
Oh, wow.
Or some moms, they have no family, so they had to give them up for adoption or whatever it is, and it's just so sad. But thankfully I had his dad to pick him up, and
you got released shortly after that?
Yes, and then obviously the month later, February, I ended up getting released on Valentine's Day.
Oh my goodness.
So it was
Yeah.
it dawned on me after the fact, he loves me. God's letting me know that he loves me, because he released me on February 14th, and I'm just and I get reunited with my son. I'm like, okay, this is beautiful,
That's good.
Yeah. And then we get, when his dad picks me up, the son's dad picks me up, and we decide to live together, and that's a whole nother story. Now.
And we don't have time
Yeah.
for that
And
story
it's just
today.
yeah.
But anyway, it's so beautiful to know that an inmate in jail led you to the Lord. The Lord made a huge difference in your life. He actually was there with you. You learned so much about him in prison. And his hand of blessing is on your life now, as you have all these opportunities for which you're well schooled, and God has opened up some amazing doors for you. If our audience wants to get in touch with you, they can reach you. Tell them how they can reach you.
Okay. At my email at Bobbie, Bobbie, at elevatemedia.com, and Elevate has 3 L's, so it's LLLEV ATE Media MEDIA. Yeah, I was like, did I just spell that right? Yeah. .com.
Well, thank you, Bobbie, for being on our show today.
Thank you
and
for having
Tiffany
me.
and I would love to hear from you as well. You can email us at info@roaringlambs.org. And Bobbie, what I've learned from you today is there's never an excuse to be quiet about what God is doing in your life. So we hope you will go out and roar about the goodness of God to somebody else today. God bless.
At Life Stories Company, our passion is to preserve your story in a personal memoir. These beautiful books can be shared with both friends and family for generations. For the past 28 years, we have helped over 200 clients share their history and wisdom. As a Christian, what better testimony than to share how God has led you and provided for you? Visit us at lifestoriescompany.com. Sharing your story and honoring God, lifestoriescompany.com.